Hi, and welcome to the Water Healing Project with Vanessa Gibson. I'm your facilitator and host through this project. This little video is to give you a little depth into the connection between the metal element and Manatee Pocket, the water quality and clarity, the imbalance that we're seeing happening here at the Manatee Pocket, a little bay inside of Stuart, Florida, inside the inlet there. So what we have is we have a water bay, an element, a harbor, a little area that is really energetically out of balance. That's what we're focusing on here, is balancing the energy of this water in the Manatee Pocket. And one of the main contributors that has come up for us to focus on as a priority would be the element of metal. Now, in this area, we have a lot of metal. We have like metal we humans have put into this water, right? Up the river, St. Lucie River, and the Indian River lagoons, and the inlets at the ocean, and the Manatee Pocket itself. There's lots of docks, there's rigs, there's tons of boats. This is a very, very popular boating and fishing community and areas. So we have props, we have chains on moorings, we have, I mean, just equipment to build, because there's a lot of waterfront property. So at some points we've needed to put big equipment into the water, bridges, and there's just a lot of exposure and currently a lot of metal that lives in this water. One space that we were focused on is the smaller aspect of the metal. So these would be chips of metal. This is like the rust. This is like the sediments of metal. This is actually the smaller, more disintegrated, broken down pieces of metal are actually where I'm being pulled to focus on, that is actually the place that is causing the most imbalance, but also that we can work with and to do the shifting. These would be things like little chips that have come off of the equipment or the boat props. There's lots of boat props, lots of boating that goes through there. So I wanted to use this video to help you get a little deeper understanding of the element of metal. Like, what is the element of metal all about? And when it's in a balanced state, what are its properties? How can it help contribute to these waters, and or where might it be out of harmony and it's kind of in a distorted expression, which is what we're seeing right now. So just a quick overview, like the element of metal is associated with fall, autumn, that time of year. It's associated with our lungs. The emotion would be grief, the actions like letting go. So just starting with those things, there's been a lot of we covered in an earlier video that some of the balancings were about the death energy, about the carcass, about the amount of death that comes in and out, and that there's this metal is kind of holding signatures, it's creating residues, and it's holding, and now that metal is vibrating out these signatures of these previous experiences or previous experiences of death, like the fish being pulled in and processed at the processing center, which is now the Fish House District down in Port Salerno. All these years, there's been that coming through. So what's been happening is we're working with the small little pieces of metal, right? They hold those signatures still. They were present. They might have been part of bigger things. So how do we let them go? How do we clear those signatures? How can we release? Maybe we can, is there a way possibly physically we can do some things to help clean up, maybe use magnets and magnetize any small little pieces of metal? I mean, that's a possibility. Maybe I'll write that down and we could do that as a fun little outing, is go magnet fishing. What we'll do that. Magnet fishing in Manatee Pocket. And that might help, you know. And Manatee Pocket. Okay, so there's a few things we can do, but what this video is about is helping us get an understanding of, we're wanting to look at ways to let go, clear that, or harmonize the metal energy and or any signatures it might be holding. So we're moving it from a distorted expression, more of like a emptiness, the loss, that grief, that loss that's attached there, the vanity, addiction, self-depreciation. These would be these are high vibrating signatures right now in association with the element of metal. What we're looking to harmonize is to bring and use the counter, the yin and the yang. We're going to use the yin would be the justice, the balance. Metal brings balance. Metal can bring justice. It can bring purity, surrender. And what processes might we be able to surrender? Well, we already have surrendered that process of processing the fish out of that area, but we need to like catch the water up. Do you see how doing the energetic work, even though that we can bridge things, we can still, things that aren't fully on board to what might be happening, we've surrendered. We've used that healthy element of metal expression of surrender in certain ways, but there's a holding. So we're going to go down there energetically. We're going to clear this. First, acknowledge it, right? We're going to communicate with it, find out what's required. Well, we've got stagnant energetic imprints, stagnant vibrations that are going out. So we can clear out the metal. That would be helpful physically, but we can balance the water to the metal, and then we can clear those stagnant signatures energetically, remotely even. So let me use this as an example to show you the balancing, right? So this balancing, we're going to use our Manatee Pocket water, and we're intentionally connecting with those smaller pieces of metal that are floating in the sediment or even deep in the ground, and they're still holding these signatures, these the emotional residues of the death, the loss, the grief that has come in and out of this body of water, the emptiness, any of the addiction, the self-depreciation, the vanity. And we're asking it, anything else involved? Nothing. Actually, it's just straightforward. We're going to just ask to balance out that metal energy to do specifically with its distorted expressions. And if they were to shift, and we can clear all that metal that's carrying and vibrating that, we just allow that to shift and lift and release. What else is possible? How would things need to adjust? Just doing a tapping on the heart and the head, it gets the mind and the body complex connected, right? We're doing surrogate on the water, so my body and the water are being surrogates to getting that consciousness of the water in Manatee Pocket to do its thing. Say, anywhere that we've got these vibrating emotional residues of loss and grief, and it's unprocessed or it's just stagnant, it's sediment, it's sitting and it's holding these addictive, this self-depreciation, this vanity, this emptiness, this loss energy. Anywhere that we have that, would you please release, clear, and create space for neutralize. Actually, we can just neutralize those little pieces of metal, little big pieces, but any kind of metal element within these waterways. Just asking to neutralize. Bring about justice, balance, purity, surrender, detachment, righteousness, and balance. Balance these. Thank you. The metal energy is associated with the time of day would be 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. The organ would be the large intestine, which is so interesting because that pocket was used for processing the carcass of the dead fish. I can't make this stuff up. That would be 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. The processing probably wasn't happening at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. It was more in the, I'm just assuming, I don't know really. I didn't live here and didn't live around, do much research on how the processing went, but I'm assuming fishermen went out of the pocket about 5 to 7 a.m. to start their day to go catch their daily catch and bring it back for processing. The sound, oh, this is hard. The sound of metal is weeping. So where and what is this pocket, Manatee Pocket, weeping? Just asking that, that sound be heard. We hear that as humans. We've heard the call, we've heard the sound of weeping, and it's asked for us to come in. And that's why we're all doing this water healing project. Thank you for joining and participating and contributing. We're going to shift that into, what's a more, it could be weeping in joy versus weeping in imbalance and loss and grief. What else is possible? We'll just tap that in. Also, there's a smell at the pocket at times. Metal. So one way we can see when if it's not just through the clarity or the quality of the water, visually, if or no sense of smell is metal. So through the nose, are we noticing a balance? Because we are noticing there's an imbalance. There's a smell to the pocket at times, especially we call it low tide, but at low tide, all the waterways smell, but there's a smell that's telling us that there's an imbalance. So we're going to use that, breathing in the life force energy. And if there's an imbalance in that life force energy, that's what we're here to work on energetically, right? We're coming in to support all those wonderful water workers who are and have been creating organizations to save and protect and to guide these waterways back to health. And now we're going to bring that energetic project to support them along their efforts. All right. I think that's all for this video. So I'm going to put our pocket water down and I'm going to thank you for joining me today and close out the session and just ask that you stay tuned and keep intending. Just keep positive intentions, positive words of affirmation, loving, clearing, balanced, healthy, joy, vibrant, life force thoughts into our Manatee Pocket, into our local waterways, and into the water of all the earth. All right, I'll be speaking with you soon. Thank you.